Welcome to the Explainer. So today we are diving into Module 1, specifically Pack 1A of the Whitehall Clinical Data Management course. We're laying down the foundational principles here. Now listen, if you hear the words data management and your brain immediately jumps to, dry bureaucratic red tape and staring at endless spreadsheets, I need you to just erase that image right now. Seriously, scrap it. Our goal today is to totally demystify this field and show you what it really is. An absolutely fascinating, critical safeguard for human life. We're going to see exactly how ethics, regulations, and these strict data protocols all literally come together to make modern medicine even possible.
So what actually stands between some brilliant medical breakthrough in a lab and a patient's safety out in the real world? It's a pretty heavy question, right? Because behind every single life-saving drug, behind every revolutionary treatment that makes the news, there is this heavily regulated, meticulously governed world of data management. It's like this invisible infrastructure acting as the ultimate line of defense for scientific truth. Without it, we don't have medicine, we just have guesswork.
And that brings us to the moral imperative at the very heart of our topic, something known as the Trump principle. Basically, as the Declaration of Helsinki puts it, it means that no matter how groundbreaking the science might be or how much society as a whole could benefit, the safety and the welfare of the individual human being in a clinical trial absolutely must come first. Every single data point we're going to talk about today represents a human life, and that human-centric focus, that's going to anchor literally everything we discuss.
Okay, here's our quick roadmap for the Explainer. We'll start with 1, the ethical bedrock, then 2, the GCP framework, 3, trial phases I to IV, 4, roles and responsibilities, 5, Alcoa Plus and data integrity, and finally, 6, quality by design. All right, let's jump right in.
Section 1. The ethical bedrock.
To really understand clinical data, you have to understand where the rules even came from. Back in 1964, the World Medical Association adopted the Declaration of Helsinki, and it was a real game changer. It fundamentally shifted the focus of research by making the patient the primary stakeholder. It demanded fully informed voluntary consent and independent ethics reviews before a trial could even get off the ground. On a practical level, if you're running a clinical site, this means your conduct has to be guided by the ethics of Helsinki, not just whatever the sponsor's protocol says. It is the absolute moral foundation of all research. But how do those high-level moral ideas turn into everyday operational rules?
That brings us to Section 2, the GCP framework. Good clinical practice, or GCP, is that international framework. It takes the philosophy of Helsinki and turns it into strict, universally recognized execution. GCP is enforced by major global agencies, think the FDA in the US or the EMA over in Europe. And why does it exist? Well, it's there to guarantee public confidence. It assures us that the data being produced is actually credible, and more importantly, that the rights, integrity, and confidentiality of the trial subjects are fiercely protected.
So, the really crucial thing to grasp here is that GCP isn't just one single rule. It's actually this interlocking framework of 13 specific ICH E6 guidelines. We won't go through all 13 right now, but look at the core focus. It is all about the human element. Freely given informed consent, for instance, totally non-negotiable. One of the absolute most serious violations regulators ever find is when site staff decide to take shortcuts in the consent process. Something like getting a quick verbal agreement to run a screening test and figuring, oh, we'll just do the paperwork later. Under GCP, that is a massive, critical breach of patient rights. So how does all this apply to the actual architecture of testing a drug?
Let's look at Section 3, trial phases I to IV.
Bringing a new drug to market takes a staggering amount of time, and the stakes just keep getting higher. You can see the basic chronology right here. We start out with Phase 1, which is purely focused on safety, and that alone takes a year or two. Then Phase 2 steps in to explore efficacy. Phase 3 scales things up massively. We're talking years of work to provide that pivotal confirmatory evidence regulators need. And it doesn't stop there. Even after a drug gets approved, Phase 4 kicks in, and that involves monitoring the drug's real-world safety for years, sometimes literally decades.
It's really important to contrast these early phases with the later ones. Phase I is usually done with healthy volunteers. At this point, you aren't trying to cure disease, you're just trying to figure out what the human body does to the drug. That's the pharmacokinetics, or PK. And you're safely identifying the maximum tolerated dose. Let me give you a crazy real-world example of just how fragile this early data is. In one actual trial, a coordinator missed a 4-hour post-dose PK sample and just casually wrote it down as on time. Well, that single hidden sampling error completely threw off the Phase 1 data profiles and ended up delaying an entire multi-year clinical program by 11 months. Just wild. That's exactly why in the later phases, phases 2 and 3, where you're trying to prove actual clinical efficacy on sick patients, the foundation of that early data has to be rock solid. Which naturally brings us to the people who are actually running these complex phases.
Section 4. Roles and Responsibilities. There are basically two distinct sides to running a trial. On one hand, you have clinical trial management. They handle all the operational logistics, the budgets, site timelines, recruitment, all that stuff. But our focus is the other side, clinical data management. CDM is 100% focused on the quality and integrity of the data being generated. Obviously, you need both sides to succeed, but think about it. A trial could hit every single operational deadline, come in perfectly under budget, and it will still completely fail regulatory approval if the data quality managed by the CDM team is compromised.
And the legal accountability for that data? It is incredibly strict. The sponsor carries the ultimate regulatory responsibility for the whole trial. Down at the site level, the principal investigator, or PI, holds personal accountability. Now, PI can definitely delegate tasks to qualified staff using a formal delegation log, like having a trained nurse take a blood pressure reading. But they can never, ever delegate their ultimate responsibility for the patient's safety or the integrity of the data. So how do we actually guarantee that data integrity on a day-to-day basis?
Let's get into Section 5, Alcoa Plus and Data Integrity. All right, Alcoa Plus is essentially the operational glue that holds a clinical trial together. It is the global gold standard for data quality. To really grasp why it matters, picture this. A clinical site refrigerator storing investigational drugs completely fails over a long weekend. Because of Alcoa Plus standards, things like the temperature logs, the exact time the failure happened, who checked the fridge, and which subjects might be affected are all rigorously documented. If we didn't have this standard, that data could easily be compromised, putting patient safety at direct, immediate risk. Now, this framework breaks down into a really handy mantra: attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate. Plus the additions: complete, consistent, enduring, and available. Think of Alcoa Plus as the ultimate lie detector test for clinical data. Every single electronic case report entry has to be fully traceable back to a specific source document. Because honestly, as far as regulators are concerned, if it isn't documented in the original source, it quite simply didn't happen. Period.
And to actually enforce all of this in our modern digital age, we rely heavily on one very specific number: 21.
That's 21 CFR Part 11. This is the FDA regulation that basically acts as the digital enforcer of AAOCOA+. It mandates that any computer system used in clinical data management must have an absolutely unalterable time-stamped audit trail. What that means is every single keystroke, every piece of data entry, and every tiny correction is permanently logged with a unique electronic signature. Who made the change? When did they make it? And why? It makes digital clinical data completely transparent and, most importantly, trustworthy. Okay, finally, let's look at how oversight is evolving to tie all of this together. Section 6, Quality by Design. Clinical research has gone through a massive paradigm shift recently. Under the legacy guidelines, quality control was super reactive. Teams would spend just crazy amounts of time manually checking every single piece of paper to find errors after they had already happened. But with the modern updates in ICH E6R3, we've shifted to proactive quality by design. This means we actually design the trial protocols to prevent errors from happening in the first place. We use risk-based monitoring so we can focus our resources proportionally on the most critical, high-risk data, rather than treating every minor data point with the exact same heavy-handed oversight. It's just a much smarter, safer way to work.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground in this explainer today, from the ethical bedrock of Helsinki all the way up to the strict digital audit trails of 21 CFR Part 11. But, it all circles back to one absolute core truth. Clinical data management is not about spreadsheets. It is about protecting people. Your meticulousness, your strict adherence to GCP and Alcoa Plus, it directly impacts whether a life-saving drug makes it to the patients who so desperately need it. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. As the ultimate safeguard for human life, are you ready to be the last line of defense for data integrity? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.